What we have here is the K12 N-Tec version, which is the 3-door. It's a 2010 late 2010 plate. This design here was brought out, I believe, 2003, and it's obviously been superseded now in 2011 by the K13, I believe. But what we have here is something that was it was a bit different to the other cars from the day. And you know, it was a bit of a kind of a Marmite car, just due to the way that the headlights were positioned there, the way it looked. It had that kind of cute look about it that some people did like, some people didn't. It appealed more to, I believe, a bit more of a feminine market at the time, but that wasn't what it was aiming for, and I'm not being sexist in saying that. But it does have a kind of a nice cute feeling to it. This one here in particular is, as I say, it's the 3-door version, so you know, you do have a issue of kind of getting in the back, and if you do have more than one kid, or you do have a couple of kids, I would probably consider something like the 5-door version, because while it is easy to get in, and as you can see here I have a child seat, just to give you an idea of how much leg space you have, or your child has, it can be a bit of an issue when you've got 2 kids and they're trying to get in and out of the car, especially if they're waiting for either the front seat passengers to get in, or if you have a child like mine who is slightly on the autism spectrum disorder, who's been diagnosed with that. He wants to get in and out with less hassle, so it can be a bit of a trial. But I've had this car since May of this year, and I'll just quickly show you how easy it is. I mean, this seat is obviously set a bit forward, and I'm not the tallest person. I'm about 5'5", but there's a lot of leg room, and the kind of a view from where you're sitting. And yes, okay, you do have that sitting in front of you, but you do have quite a, you know, what would be a, oh, see, I'll pull that back. So sorry, I've just pulled that back, and you know, you still get quite a lot of leg room. On a long journey, it might be a bit of an issue, but you do get quite a lot of visibility, really. Or I mean, while people do say that they feel like they're sat in a goldfish bowl, this one, you know, it's quite nice and airy, but it does have that issue of, obviously, any kids can't really wind down windows or stuff like that. In terms of storage, it's really good. You got the kind of areas where you can put your bottle of liquid. You've got an area here where you can store some stuff. And the same here, really. It's quite nice and big. I mean, if you want to compare my hand to the size of it, you'll see there's quite a bit of storage here. And you know, kids have put in their McDonald's cups and bottles of water here, and it has held it quite nice. You've got cup storage here at the front. You've got 2 cup storages here, so it is, you know, for such a small car, you've got a nice bit of convenience about it. If I get out of the car, bang my head, which is the problem with 3 doors. Getting out of the car and sitting in the passenger seat, I mean, we'll do the driver in a minute. You can see the entertainment area here, and also the kind of ventilation controls here. It has an area here which you can put your loose change in and stuff. On certain other models, this area is different, but because this is the N-Tec version, you've got this entertainment or technology area here. On the other models, you do have a kind of a storage area here, but by all means have a look at other reviews and you'll probably see them there. Carrying on with the storage theme, you've got a fairly large glove box here, which, you know, again, you've got the manuals here which are nicely hidden, and you've got like a glasses case here, so that gives you an idea of how much you can hold. I'll just close it. And as I say, you got your cup storage here. Also, you do get, because it's N-Tec, you do get an aux in and USB. Again, just carrying on with the theme of the storage, you got a nice area here for storage, and a little pocket there just to pop some bits and pieces in, like keys. You got your your electronic windows, and then obviously your handle, and there's all your vents here, so it blows nicely into your face. And there's the actual driver's area here, which we will be jumping into in a sec. Getting into the driver's side, you are greeted with quite a simple, as it were, binnacle instrument panel here, which has your revs here, your fuel, and your speedometer here. And if I was to just get the keys and pop them in, so you can see how the instrument cluster works. Just pop that on there. So you can see, I mean, I've only done, well, I haven't done that many miles in it. I mean, I'm 10,000 miles to nearly completing, well, needing a service, which will be this time next year, I'm guessing. It hasn't got an engine management light on, obviously, that's just how it works. If I start it up, and there you go, and you're off. As you can see, the engine light's gone off, but that gives you a kind of a run through of the the binnacle. You can kind of change the mileage information, so that's how many miles I've got left. So that kind of gives you an idea of the fuel economy as well in this car, which I'll talk about later. Miles per gallon, which I have been achieving, but again, that's not 100% accurate. I tend to say it's about, it could be 5 to 10 miles per gallon less than that. Also miles per hour average, and also you've got the time spent, and you do have 2 trip things there, which is might be good if you run a business and you use one odometer to give you an idea of how long the trip's been and whatever, and then the other one to give you an idea of how much fuel, as it were, so if you've got a full tank of fuel, how many miles you've done with it. So it's pretty good. On the steering wheel, because it's the I probably do get it on some other models, but the N-Tec version, you do have the changing of the tracks here for your phone, so to access your phone, which if I tap here, you can see it's looking for my telephone here. I've currently turned the Bluetooth off because I was getting a few issues, not with the car, but my Bluetooth of all things. Also, you get an information thing which changes the details there. Also, what you do get is this kind of option, this button here. And as you're driving, if you keep your finger, I think if you tap the button as you're driving at a certain miles per hour, it does what's known as not a speed limiter, but a speed warning. So if you tapped it, if you're doing a 50 mile going through works, road works at 50 mile an hour, and it was an average speed of 50 mile an hour for the cameras, if you tap that at 50 mile an hour, or I think if you long press it, I'm not sure, I don't use it much, but it will beep if you go over 50 mile an hour on the speedometer. So it can be quite a good little feature if you concentrate on more than speed of what the car is doing. It will give you an audible warning of what this car is achieving at the time, which is good. Which is a good little feature. Moving on to the as it were, the information area, or the I'm not sure what they call it, but it is the kind of the technology area, as I would call it in this. I've got to say, for this car, it is phenomenal. For the age of the car, which is a 2010 or late 2010 registered model, and for the car it is, which is a little 3-door Micra, it's technology I wouldn't expect. I mean, I've looked at other cars for my wife recently, and to try and achieve this sort of level of technology within a car, for the kind of cars we're looking at, which is a low tax band, cheap to run, cheap to own car, these don't really appear, these sort of things. Sorry, infotainment area. So with this one, it's really good. I mean, you got your, I'll turn the music off. Not that I'm monetized or anything, but I'll turn the music off. What you get is, obviously, if you press FM, AM, I'll turn the music down. You'll get your kind of your, as it were, your channels, your radio. And if you want to see what you can, so out and about in the area that you're in, as you can see, I'm in the northeast, so I get Metro, I got Heart, Classic, and all that. And if you just want to change it after that, you change it. It's as easy as that. If you want to tune it, you can tune it that way by the usual conventional method. But I tend to find my channel, and then you're off. I mean, when you're driving, it's phenomenal. You just go up and down quickly, and then you're done. You've also got traffic announcements as well. And moving on to the traffic announcements, the interesting thing you've got here, if you tap on that, it will give you any kind of information around the area. I don't know where it gets it from. I'm not sure if it's the connection to my phone or what have you, but it will give you an information of the area of what's going on. So I've got, you got Newcastle Denton between Quayside and Swan House. There's an issue there. I don't think it does anything, but if I tap on all, you get a lovely list of, and it is lovely because it does give you an idea of anything that's going wrong, which you can cycle through like that. And typically there's quite a bit going on. Or you can just tap on a thing just to give you what's going on here, and just next. Usual CD, which I haven't got. AUX, which if you press that, it will play music off your iPhone or your. I haven't tried Android because I'm using an iPhone at the minute. So if you've got an iPhone connected to this via Bluetooth, which is really easy to do, I've got to say, and you start pressing play on your music, it will play through the car stereo, and it is brilliant for that. I haven't used it much, but I found it really easy to do. Obviously you got your left and right scanning. I'll go back onto radio. You got your left and right for scanning, volume control here, and I would imagine you can scan using this as well. But the other thing you've got as well is satellite navigation. Now I will say this is not the most up to date. I mean, I haven't really taken this out and updated it as such to see if there's any more updates, but I've got to say, in a pinch, when you're looking for stuff, it's really quick, especially if you're driving. You know, you just tap nav, go to destination, you know, you've got points of interest or destination from map intersection, new address, and you just type it up. If I go to navigation, if I just type in a destination, let's try that one, postcode 60 NE9 6DW, and just, you know, you type it in that way via the keypad. What was it? NE29. I'm kind of guessing this 6. Well, it's kind of saying it now anyhow because I've put it in before. 6DW, and press OK, and then press OK again. This will give you an idea how quick it'll find, or it'll calculate your route. Now, as you're driving, if you're certain miles away from, you know, you kind of know the area where you are.
The route has been calculated. Please drive onto a digitized road. Sorry
about that. I am actually on a car park of a golf club in Washington.
There are toll roads en route.
But the information it gives you and how quick it can do it, it's been a bit of a, you know, it's been a lifesaver if I'm looking for areas. You know, obviously being a Brummie living towards the south of Newcastle, I don't know where everything is. And when I've been looking for something, I just, as I'm driving at a junction, I just quickly type it in, and bang, it gives you an idea where you're looking. As I say, it's not the most accurate because it probably is a little bit out of date. And, you know, if I wanted something a lot more accurate, I would go with Google Maps on my phone. But for something that's part of the car, you know, like it's actually an added extra, or part of the actual model of car that I've got here, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Right, so moving away from that, you've got your ventilation controls here, which are easy to operate. I'll just quickly pop the car on, and obviously I've turned it off for the instance of this, but it is easy to control. Certain ways of you know, getting the ventilation system to work. And also what it has got is aircon, which in the summer has been fantastic. It hasn't let me down. It's been really good. I mean, obviously you got recirculating air or fresh air, which again has been brilliant. And it's also good towards the winter because obviously it'll clear them windows as such when you've got the aircon on. The Golf I had before this, yeah, the aircon worked, didn't work. It's always been an issue with Golfs of that age, and I've got to say this has been phenomenal. I don't know why my phone's overexposing everything, but I'm really sorry about this. But yeah, fantastic, really like it. Not too loud when you're driving as well, and obviously the ventilations are at quite a nice little area to cover all kind of eventualities as such. So I'll just turn that off. Next thing is visibility. Visibility as a driver has been really good. I mean, these wing mirrors are massive for the size of the car, and especially if you're looking, you know, to see where you're going or what's around you, they do aid in what you do. My only criticism is, sorry, I'm showing you the camera or my phone. The only criticism I have, this doesn't seem, it needs to be just that little bit taller, because you got such a massive window out the back. It's just a shame that it's such a kind of a little sliver of mirror just to see out the back. But you know, it is, you know, even though people do say you're in a goldfish bowl driving one of these or sitting in one of the back of these, the visibility is brilliant. Right then, let's start off on our little road test of the Micra 1.5dci N-tec 3dr. As you can see here, I'm just heading down the road. Got the navigation on. It's not actually active, but all you do is you just press accent and it comes on. So a great little tool to have, especially in a car of this age. It really is a kind of a little phenomenal area of entertainment stroke navigation for a car that is 10 years old and the price range it is at the minute. Obviously you get your controls, which are easy to reach. My only bugbear with where the controls are and where your vicinity of where the cups are as well is every time you go to reach a cup on a journey or anything like that, you do tend to hit the hazard lights, and when you're on the motorway doing 70 mile an hour and you suddenly put the hazard lights on, it can be disconcerting because obviously you're sending the wrong signal to other road drivers. But otherwise it's a great little layout, it's easy to understand, as I've said in my just a quick overview of the outside and the inside part. The instrumentation binnacle here is perfect. It's easy, simple, and very easy to understand. And obviously the controls here for your indication, your wipers and everything are just easy to find. It is super simple really. Driving the actual Nissan Micra, I found it a bit of a love-hate relationship at first, because when I was coming from a Golf TDI 1.9, I really didn't like this car at all. I found it really difficult, not so much to drive, but because the clutch is different, I found it very hard to get into and learn to enjoy driving the car. But since I've had it since May, sorry about that, English not the best. It's actually been very good. It is a little bit bouncy over the potholes, as you can tell, so I'm sorry if the camera is shaking. Typically I have tried recording this 3 times this video, one with a mobile phone, one with a camera, and one with a DSLR, a mirrorless camera, and this is any camera. Hopefully that will do the trick. But anyhow, it is a little bit jerky over bumps and stuff, but it does, compared to some of the cars that I've had in the past, namely the Citroen C3 and cars like that, it is a lot better. And the beauty is it does feel solid when you're driving it. I mean, my wife refers to it as like the little mini tank really when she drives it, when she's comparing it to a 2010 Fiesta, and I would agree with her. It does feel well built, and with that, you know, you've got quite a nice bit of not road presence, but kind of when it sits on the road, it is quite planted. And because it being only a little 3-door, you do feel that you are in control. And I can understand why people do enjoy these cars to drive, because they are quite a bit of fun. Especially mated with this 1.5dci engine, which I think returns 86 brake horsepower. So if I can try and accelerate here, you know, I can get past people quite quickly, and with a van on my bottom you can get out of their way. And I find that quite a nice little feature with this engine. It does do the kind of acceleration that you would kind of like on the motorway, and would help you to get away from like a slowish driver when it's safe to overtake. Talking of the 1.5dci engine, it is mated to a 5-speed gearbox on this model. I don't know, but I've never tried the automatics, or I've never tried the petrol version of the Micra. But I've got to say, so I'm just checking the camera's recording. But I've got to say, it's quite nice to use. It doesn't feel vague or anything. And when mated to, as I say, the 1.5 diesel engine, what I like about it is the actual engine is punchy, but it also has quite a nice return on the miles per gallon. Now, initially when I did buy this car, the miles per gallon was pretty bad. It really wasn't good at all. I mean, I was averaging 45 to 50 on the motorway, which for me is what I would expect out of a kind of a low-end, like a small petrol engine, not a diesel per se. But again, you know, I was used to my Golf TDI, which had 6 gears. It was fantastic on the motorway. And in comparison to this, I thought there was something wrong with the car, so I did take it back a couple of times to the dealer, but they said apparently they checked it and it was fine. But what I've noticed, as this model's only done 48,000 miles, and in some years when I checked the MOT history of the car, it's only one year it only done about 1,000 miles, which for a diesel engine is just, it's just so low. It's unreal, really. There's no point having the car. So since I've been using it, I mean, I've probably put 3,000 miles on it over the last couple of months, and I've noticed this, as well as cleaning the EGI valve on this thing, which if you go on the forums, a lot of them do say to do. It has kind of opened up in terms of its miles per gallon figures and how it works, really. And I've got to say, it's been brilliant. I've been averaging, I mean, like on the trip computer here, which initially I took with a pinch of salt, I've been getting 60 miles to the gallon. Pardon me. So you'll have to forgive me. You'll probably see the Angel of the North soon. I am kind of on the the A1M. I just wanted to quickly show you what it's like on quite a fastish road, which is about 50 miles an hour. But I've been getting 60 miles to the gallon, and also on this road, or on a fast road, or on a motorway, it's not massively loud. I mean, you do know when you've done a long journey to, say, Birmingham or somewhere from Newcastle, you do feel it with a slight bit of back pain, because the seats, while they are comfortable, for a long journey you may find them not as comfortable as, say, like a slightly bigger car, or not as the journey not as cruising as you would find with a slightly bigger car. But other than that, I've got to say, I mean, like, I've took it down to the likes of Birmingham, Rotherham, and other cities such as that down south in the UK, and it's been fine. I've had no problems with no overheating or anything like that, and it has been very good. As I say, acceleration on the motorway, really good. You can just suddenly feel a slight surge of power when you need it. And other than that, it's been fine. As is the 3-door, the only thing I would say with this car is the practicality of it. And while you do get an okay boot, it's alright, and the seats behind me can go forward and backward quite easily, as there's a little lever there. You're just going to sit on it and move it forward, allowing you a bit more space on the boot. Where the practicality of it ends is when you've got kids. Now, there will be hopefully some comments if you comment below about, your experience with the Micra, or if it was a car you're thinking of. But with my experience with having 2 children, it has been quite, at times, a bit of an issue, especially if you're in a tight gap, or it's raining and the kids want to suddenly jump out the car, or if they've had enough of sitting in the back, they just want to get out. Now, where the issue is that they're waiting for you to get out, they're waiting for you to do something, or they can't just get out, and plus the windows don't wind down either. So if you've got kids, I would severely suggest you go for the 5-door version of the car, because you'll thank me for it, because it's such a hassle, especially if you've got really small kids where you've got to put them in the back. While it's okay getting in and out of the car, and you do have a nice bit of space, where your knees are and stuff, it isn't the best. Now, other than that, I mean, all I can say is with the actual car, and it's nice on the road. I mean, I've just shown you on the A1M where it is on quite a fastish road. It is actually all right to drive. I mean, I enjoy driving it round more the urban sort of areas of where I live, and it's nice. It's got a nice bit of response to the steering. It's quite tight round corners, so you feel like you can chuck it with some degree of skill. And sorry, there's always someone driving up your rear end. Why, I don't know. But what I would say is, you do get a nice response to the car, and it feels quite fun to drive, and especially when you're in that kind of urban environment and you just want to get in and out of certain situations. It does feel quite fun. And if you're on a B road, I mean, and you're on your own, you do enjoy the actual drive of the car. Again, as I said, on the motorway, it is quite it's quite reassuring, really. I mean, you do feel how well built this thing is. I mean, it's got scratchy plastics all over it, but I'm looking at a car that's 10 years old. I didn't spend much to, in compared to some cars, I didn't spend a lot of money on it. but for what you get for the money, it is unbelievable. And especially the condition of the car, it was good. Overall, would I buy it again? If you would have asked me that 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I would have said no way. I really didn't like it at the time. I was trying to compare it, I constantly compared it to a much bigger car, which was my Golf. It was more practical, it had 5 doors to it. It was a brilliant car. But the more and more I've had it, and as I say, I did have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this car. The more and more I've driven it, and the more and more I've owned it, you know, I've had no real problems with it, other than taking it back to the dealer because the glow plugs was showing up on, you know, on the ODB sensor to be an issue, which they fixed, in fairness. But other than that, it's not really let me down as of yet. I can update you in about 3 or 4 months' time once the more colder weather has happened, because that's obviously a test for the car. The only thing I do find is that when you do turn the ignition, is once the glow plugs have gone through their usual warming up procedure, is it does take a little while to kind of crank over and start. So I don't know if people may find that an issue with the engine. I mean, it's not like, for example, again, I mean, I'm comparing it now to my wife's Fiesta. You know, it's, I don't know, it's not straight away off the key. You do have to let it turn over a few times. But I've looked at videos of other Micras starting, and it seems to be the case, really. But I tend to just turn the keys to the glow plug setting a couple of times, and it does start. But again, as I say, I've had no real issues with this car. It's always started. It's never let me down, and I've took it on some really long journeys, and it's been fine. Other than the back pain, as I said, or you know, that you're fully knowing that you are in a car that is quite small, so it isn't going to be as comfortable. But it's done the job. The other thing as well I found, which is the love part of this car, other than I absolutely love this area, is parking. Parking in this car has been unbelievable. It's been so good because it's such a dinky, small little car that you can just park it. You know, you can park it in spaces where you think, oh, can I fit? And you have absolutely no problem. And the other thing I've noticed is when you do park in kind of supermarket car parks or retail outlet car parks, because it's so small, I worry less about people dinking my car, because you do get more space either side, because it is a slightly thinner car to your usual hatchbacks and what have you. So I've got, for that matter alone, you know, it is a car you can live with quite easily. So to recap, now I've had it since May. Now I've had it for a little while. It is a good car. It really is. For a first-time driver, it's fantastic. You will enjoy having it. The DCI engine on the Renault supplied DCI engine does have some faults. It tends to be quite a cokey sort of engine, where parts of the engine do coke up quite quickly, and that would be the EGR valve and the like. But the EGR valve is really easy to get to. It took very little time to get. It took a couple of hours to get it cleaned and reinstalled, and I did it myself. And as I always say, I am no mechanic. As well as that, you can change the air filter really easily as well. I mean, it is set up for, you know, it does hit its target market, which is like first-time drivers, single drivers as such, not really family orientated, but you know, I can understand why you do see more senior drivers driving this car, because it's an easy car to live with. Other than that, yeah, I would probably consider something like this again. A 5-door variant for definite, not so much the 3-door, because the 3-door you will find it a bit limiting in what it can do in terms of getting in and out of the car if you've got kids, because I've dealt with some arguments with who gets out first and what have you. So yeah, I would definitely say not a car if you've got more than one child. Well, if you've got any comments on that, well, first of all, I hope you like the review. It's a bit haphazard because I'm trying to do it while I'm not scripted or anything, and I'm just trying to do it while I'm driving. I hope you like the review. If you've got any comments, please drop them in the comments section below. And if you've got any questions about the car, because obviously it's a car that I own, so I'll gladly answer them. Also, just to add, there is a forum. If you have a Micra, there's a forum. I think it's just type in Micra.org UK or something. And I've used this forum for a few things, just questioning certain elements of the car, which is like, you know, am I getting the right miles per gallon? And I tell you what, the community that surrounds this car is phenomenal. And most times, you know, you think after a couple of days, oh, no one's answering, and then you suddenly get 18 people jumping on it and saying, you know, what they think of it or what they think of your issues. So it's got a community around the vehicle, which is just brilliant. But as I say, drop any comments you've got below, and I hope to see you in the next video. See you later. Goodbye.